Hello, friends. How are you today? Well, I'm recording in the middle of the night again because the data just keeps coming in the middle of the night, our time being West Coast USA. So I have done an astrology analysis of the time that the wave of white resonance started and at the time of the data stop. And there is some fascinating stuff to talk about. The moon is in a really interesting relationship because that's the nearest planetary body, right? Of course. And so it's the most likely to affect. And because emotions are running high, and we are still, this is the last day of being kind of in the new moon, in the full moon energies. So we're still in the potency of that as well. So that may have something to do with the energy expressions right now. And I say that because we're talking about the Schumann resonance. The Schumann resonance on the space observing system chart that I look at is from 0 to 40 hertz. There are 4 resonances in that hertz range. And this happens to be at the same hertz range as human brainwaves. There are other reasons as well that have to do with electromagnetic energies that I think that it's relevant both to look at the effects of the moon and the sun on our planet and on the human population. And I think all of this comes together to create something that we can use to say, what is the state of human consciousness in the moment? And because the moon is reflective of our emotions, and our emotions can be quite extreme at times, then I think that it's a good indicator. I'm working with the lighting as I'm recording, so I mostly have recorded during the day, or when there was some level of daylight. So it'll take me a little while to get this how I really want it for nighttime recording. So sometimes I get the glare on my glasses and stuff. I'm trying to figure out how to fix that. And I don't want to use a ring light because I don't like how the ring light makes a circle of light in the pupil of the person talking. I think that that's weird. No criticism on anyone who uses that. If someone wants to use that, totally respect that. But for me, I think that the body communicates energy. I make an effort to communicate energetically as well as physically in my presentation. You can probably tell that if you've been watching me for a while. You already knew that. But when the light is in the pupils of someone's eyes, I find it very distracting when I'm reading energy, when I'm reading the person's energy. And so I don't want to have that in my eyes. And I think I would find that circle. I think that I would perceive that as I'm recording as well. So I'm going to be doing a live on Tuesday at 7 a.m. Pacific time. So if you'd like to join me for that, come on over, and we're going to do that on, on April 11th, Tuesday. And I'd love to have you there. I do Q&A, and I started doing just a meditation, but I think I'll also do an energy talk and then take Q&A. I think that would be really fun. And I am loving doing videos this way where I'm just speaking with you. So I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. I won't go into the reasons why I really, have done this, but it just seems to really be working. And the other thing I wanted to let you know is I am going to be putting new articles up on Substack. So if you haven't joined my Substack, please come over and check it out. I've got links below. And then in my last video, I have links to all the relevant articles that I mentioned already in it. I meant to put an article out today on Saturday, but I haven't gotten that one done yet. And now I'm already making my next video. I spent a lot of time on social media putting out my videos today instead. So let's see. Okay, so let's get to the energies. And what I'll do is I will put a link to today's chart that I'm talking about below. And I'll also put a link to the data charts in general so that you can check them on a real-time basis if you desire to. So here's what happened, okay? We had this big wave of energy just pouring up for hours and hours on the chart, and it was starting to get stronger and stronger. So the amplitudes were starting to raise up with the peaks of the wave. And then suddenly the data stopped. And the wave started sometime after 11 p.m. on April 8th on the chart. And then the peak and the wave stopped, and the highest peaks were about 6 a.m. on April 9th, Sunday, Easter here in the USA. So it's actually very appropriate, if you think about it, to have a wave of energy on Easter. I don't know if that's the Orthodox Easter as well. I'll have to check that. Now, here's what's going on in the chart. And let's see here. Let me just organize all my stuff. Okay, so yeah. All right, now what I did was I did two charts. I did the time of the wave starting, and then I did a data stop. So let me pull that up. Okay. All right. This is the data stop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in the article, but I'm not going to put that out till tomorrow because I already spent hours in the middle of the night doing a video last night, and I need to get some sleep. Okay, so data stop, and there we go, wave begins. All right, so what I'm doing is I have my methodology for determining the exact time of the data stopping, and so I calculate that, and then I do an astrology chart. Now, one of the reasons that I'm able to see some of this stuff is that I do asteroid astrology, and it's unusual to do asteroid astrology. Most astrologers on YouTube just do kind of your plain vanilla planets. And but I don't know, I always do more. And I'm very fascinated about things, and I like to get into the details of them. And I love to tell stories, right? Because I think telling stories about energy enhances understanding, and it also touches in with our human myths and legends, and these echo through time. They are an energetic that usually stories are across cultures, similar stories, which is really interesting. And then so it creates an energetic across time in my view, right, across human history. And it allows us to touch in very deeply with meaning for ourselves. Because why are we doing this unless it's to benefit ourselves, figure out how to better live our lives, right? Figure out how to create our highest outcomes. So here's what happens, okay? This is fascinating. There's what I call a quincunx funnel. Now, don't let the astrology terms scare you or freak you out or anything. What it is they're aspects, right? They're geometries, because you have a circle, and then you can form geometric patterns in the circle. And the way that the planets interrelate with each other ends up looking like geometric patterns. And you'll see this if you come over to the Substack and take a look. Well, there's a very, very noticeable funnel of energy at the beginning of this wave. And the moon is 100% involved, okay? And yesterday on my video, I talked about Ceres and Dionysus. They are on one side of the opening of the funnel. And on the other side is the moon. The moon is at 18 Scorpio. So this funnel of energy is formed by quincunxes, which are spiritual, which is a spiritual aspect, and it represents a spiritual challenge. It's not easy. It's not easy, but the rewards are great, right? The rewards are great. And because it's a spiritual challenge, it tends to be very personal, because the expression of this in our own lives is very personal when it's spiritual. So the moon moved to 18 Scorpio. The sun was at 18 Aries. And why is that important? Because when two bodies are at the same degree, boom, they have an interrelationship. And that's when the wave of energy, initiated. Isn't that amazing? It's so cool. I just find it fascinating that they're, as I'm exploring the aspects with you guys, that we're finding this, that the moon is in some key positions. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see over time if this keeps up like this. But I've been doing this for a while, and I think that it's meaningful. So what happens is this funnel, it's literally like a funnel with a wide opening and then a narrow bottom. And the funnel points to several bodies, and I'll tell you what they are. They're Chiron, the sun, Jupiter, Eris, and Vesta. That is a lot, okay? You're talking some big energy here. No wonder there's a huge wave. There are literally, let me just see if I can count all these. There's literally 4 or 5 quincunxes to this group of planets on one side of the funnel and 3 on the other. This is extraordinary, okay? And on the other side, I'm talking about planetary bodies. So unless a person looked at asteroid bodies, so unless someone looks at asteroids, you wouldn't find this, right? You would find the moon to the sun, though. So what does this mean? Well, the moon and the sun, all right, so it's spiritual, involves our emotions. Chiron is pressing up on the sun. All these bodies are very close to each other. Chiron's pressing up on the sun. So this invites us into mastery of our own self, okay? Mastery of our own self, and at the soul level, because we've got the sun involved. It's very emotional for us, and the moon is in Scorpio. So this is not a process that's necessarily visible to others that you might be going through, right? That we are going through in general. It's a process that's very personal. It literally can be at the level of life and death, facing life and death issues, and it can significantly affect the outcomes of our life. This is Scorpio, the moon in Scorpio. This is intense. And so then we've got Jupiter. So this is very big, right? People are probably not going to miss participating in this energy. And Eris, the funnel opening essentially points to Eris. Okay, Eris is an asteroid, but she is well known for creating discord. She starts the discord, and then the discord leads to chaos. Now, here's the blessing of chaos. Here's how chaos functions. If things never fell apart, right, then everything that existed would still be in existence. So the discord, the chaos principle degrades something that is no longer essentially worthy, that is no longer life enhancing or supporting. So Eris is famous for at a party in ancient Greece, throwing the golden apple into the crowd of beautiful women, all goddesses, so all very powerful women, and then setting them against each other, which eventually led to the War of Troy. Now, the reason that she set everyone against each other was because she was annoyed. She was annoyed that she wasn't invited. And gee, I wonder why she wasn't invited. She wasn't invited because she's a troublemaker. So this is Eris. This is Eris. And, here's the thing. Eris can be used for strategy. She is a wise one. She is a wise one. When you think of her, you think of fiery energy because she is the sister of the god of war, Mars, right? So you think of someone with fiery emotions. And we said the moon is at, let me just check, 20, no, it's at 18. So it's a little bit wide for Eris. But Jupiter is 4 degrees from her. And the funnel of energy is pouring it past Eris. So, so what was I saying here? I was saying that, yeah, hidden strategy, right? I almost hit it for myself. Chaos and discord can be used to hide things. So in the chaos, in the discord, this is actually a time when you can affect something important without being noticed. You can affect something important without as much pushback because everybody is in chaos. So this is a strategy that's, well known and employed. And now people are starting to catch on. Now you start to see people say, wait a minute, now that this chaotic thing is happening, this great big chaotic story in the news, what's happening that we're not being told about, right? You hear that all the time now. People are starting to understand this. So the sun bringing the light to all of this is probably going to do that again. So if you're making secret plans, it looks like they'll probably be revealed. Especially because of some other things on the chart too. I'll tell you about that in a sec. Now Eris is pressing up against Vesta. Vesta represents the sacred flame in the home, the sacred flame in the temple. Now this is important. I want to share this with you, and I've been meaning to tell you guys about this for a while, and I'd like you to share this. And if you don't mind directing people to the video, I would love it if you did that. This is important for people to know. Vesta represents a sacred flame, the honoring of God, the honoring of the divine in the temple, right? So, how in various ceremonies we have a representation of a sacred flame and eternal flame. So that was done in the temples as well in ancient Greece. And that's what Vesta represents, the priestess who guards the flame. Well, in the human home, in our homes, the flame, the sacred flame, represents God, and it's always represented by the flame in the hearth, the traditional fireplace in the human home, right? The traditional iron stove, the wood-burning stove. And now it's represented by the gas stove. The light of the flame of the gas stove is sacred because it represents the flame of the living God in the home. It represents the sacredness of our homes. It represents that we're part of God's family, and that true nourishment, right, at the cook place, at the stove, at the hob. True nourishment comes from the divine within us. And that the divine will always provide for us. And this is why having a home, having a flame in the home, in the kitchen, is so important. It links us with centuries and centuries and millennia of human history. And it is deeply important that we have a flame in the home. So I just wanted to share that with you so that you can understand that. And I wish that you would share that with others, because that's, as we all know, and at least in this country, that is under attack. Yet another way of attacking the home and the sacredness of the home and the togetherness of the home, the fire sitting around the fire. That's where we tell our stories. The kitchen is the place where everyone always gathers in the home. Okay, so we have Eris, discord, pressing up against the home. No wonder, right, that this is when the idea of taking the flame out of the hearth is proposed. So I do not consent. And in my prayer, in my imagination, in my intention, the flame lives always in the home, is alive always, and especially in the human heart. Okay, so that's it. That's that is what the energy of the funnel is pointing to. Now, what energy is going through this funnel? You have the insanity of Dionysus, but you also have the wildness, right? And Ceres and Dionysus are retrograde, so there's all this review over this, and it's all very detailed. So there's the benefit of the wildness and unpredictability of Earth energy, right? And that can come in and save the day in a moment, right? Suddenly a wild animal runs past you that you weren't expecting as a hunter, and then there you got dinner for the night, right? But it's also wildness that goes over the edge. And I talked about that a lot in my last video. Ceres provides sustenance. She rules the seasons. Okay, so there's a lot here about nourishing and what's going to happen with that energy. The entire sign of Libra, right? That entire energy of balance, justice, fairness feeds the funnel. And that is a good thing. That is a good thing with the discord that is potentially created, especially when the light is brought to this. And the emotions in Scorpio are activated by the sun-moon connection. And, Scorpio is like, wow, it's a lot of energy. It's an intense moon. And yeah. Well, thank you to the friend that I have that helped me understand that energy. Now, check this out. Babylon is at 18, the same degree as the moon, and the sun, and Chiron. So the moon is semi-sextile. That means it's just one sign away. It's in the shadow of Babylon. So this entire construct, right, has an activation with Babylon. The moon senses it ahead from the shadow position. It's like you're hiding in shadow and you sense something and you're getting a feel for it. How does that make you feel? Well, right now when I sense it and I look at the chart, it makes me feel uncomfortable. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm like, whoa, I don't know about that. And then you've got Scorpio, not Scorpio, you've got Babylon in Sagittarius, the centaur, again, a wild energy who takes his arrow, right? He's the hunter, and he takes his arrow, pulls it back, and he's aiming towards nourishment. He's aiming towards dinner. Look how that theme is so present here with this energy. How are we going to nourish ourselves, especially when Babylon is in Sagittarius, attempting to control the future from there? Not a strong position for that. It's trine the sun. You could look at that as the sun benefiting Babylon here. Yeah, that exists in this energy. But what also exists is the sun bringing a light to it, and the moon causing us to have this ripple of anticipation. Now, if one is on the side of chaos or on the side of Babylon, sorry, I just find that funny, then what I would do is look at this. Babylon is square Nisus. I won't go into the long story of Nisus, but let's just say it's all about long-term planned betrayal. And Babylon is square this energy. And Nisus is in Pisces, the spiritual sign. So this is a great spirit. Whoa, wow, the energy's intense. A great spiritual betrayal is highlighted here. Now, because the energies are happening, it doesn't mean that everything happens in the moment that it's on the chart. It's like a ping in time, right? That activates. And then something causes an action. Well, in this case, it was the moon, right? And my teacher, Andrea, has taught me that the moon activates in astrology. Well, the moon also activated in this chart, coinciding with the Schumann wave. And so in my view, this is the type of energy that the Schumann wave is bringing us. And it's through significant hertz ranges, but we don't know. We won't know until tomorrow morning when we wake up if we see the whole chart or not. If the data is put back or if there's just a big black nothing in the data chart. So the energy of the square with Babylon is intense. Wow. So what I would say is that there's probably a desire to use that energy. Let me tell you how Nisus used it, because this is what you can look out for. Nisus used it by fooling a woman and then getting her to completely mess up her future. So if you are a woman, if you are a man with strong feminine energy, if you are a being expressing the feminine, one needs to be very careful in this energy. The moon is also trine Nisus, and Nisus is in the shadow of the sun. So this is intense. Wow, this is amazing. So women, be careful. Let's stop letting our emotions be used against us to allow ourselves to be abused or to abuse others in the name of some cause that doesn't really benefit what's real and true. And what's real and true, the human home, right? Human life, our connection with God, our connection with the divinity. These are the things that are real and true in life. And then we play those out in our lives. So if you have aspects in the mid-teens, excuse me, then this will be more potent for you. If you have planets that are key for you in the signs I've mentioned, that will be more potent for you. This energy will be more potent for you, especially if you have key planets in Aries, okay? And I'm laughing because, you know, that would include me. But here's the next trick here. This is big. This is big. The moon opposes Uranus at the beginning of the wave. Uranus. Things can flip on a dime. Okay. So there's incredibly stressed emotions here. Uranus, high technology, lightning strikes, sudden changes in the sign of Taurus. And Uranus is still in the same position it was in at the full moon. So this energy that initiates the Schumann wave is in the same degrees as the full moon. And so this is, no matter how long this wave lasts, it's going to last all month. But I've told you how important this month is. The energies of this month affect the whole next year because it represents a version of looking at the astrological new year from an equatorial standpoint. It represents the next 6 months because the solstice started off just before the new moon, and Pluto just moved into Aquarius. So what we're experiencing now is so powerful because it will affect us for a long time. These issues that I'm describing to you, that's my sense of it. This is going to be with us for a long time. So take in the information and plan in your life. along with what resonates for you. Choose what resonates for you, and then pray about it. Access that inner guidance. So this is in the Taurus Scorpio of opposition, which is the money channel, right? The money channel. A lot of astrologers have talked about this, so I haven't talked about it as much. But Uranus is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Uranus is in a quincunx, a spiritual challenge. Babylon is in a spiritual challenge with Uranus and Taurus right now. Uranus is applying. So I would say, if I had to guess, wow. Okay. Ready? There's a shocking upset that upsets the Babylonian systems that have been with us for thousands of years. A light is brought to this in the upset. The sun is a little bit ahead, so the sun guides us. So the soul, how do you protect yourself? How do you know what to do? You rely on the soul. You rely on your own soul and on spiritual guidance. You rely on what resonates for you. So if you hear words and you feel, wow, that feels like yes, I get a yes, whether it's me or someone else or your best friend or you're praying and you hear that and you get this, right? When something resonates, you have a sense of the heart opening. When something doesn't resonate, you have a sense of the heart closing. So there's no need to be in fear, although it's easy to move into fear. And the way that you balance it, I like to use the violet flame to burn off fear, but the way you balance it is to be in that soul connection. And if you don't have a soul connection, come to my meditations, or if you want to deepen it, this is where I'm teaching about how to do this. And when I say the soul, I mean the living flame of the divine within, the living God. Okay, the living spark of the living God, the Most High, the creator of the universe, all that is. That essence that incarnates within us as the living soul in human form. I'm talking about your relationship with this energy. This is what guides us here. Then use the chaos to your advantage if you can. Use the chaos. Understand that it's possible to navigate through it by the compass within your own heart. And watch out for betrayals. Watch out if you have a strong feminine energy to not betray someone or to be fooled into a path that's not right for you. And if you're a man, if you're a man or if you're a man, betrayal by women who don't quite have their head on right, who are denying aspects of themselves, that's at issue here. And in general, if you have friends, male or female, that are acting foolishly, don't trust their decisions when it comes to, how you're going to live your life. You've got to go within and see what resonates. If you go with obligation, with social obligation here over your intuition and your own conscience, that's where this Nisus effect can come into play. By relying on someone that's not trustworthy, that doesn't have a good sense of themselves when they're speaking with you, that doesn't understand your situation, because they may have been led astray in a way that doesn't benefit you. So what does this mean? This means that developing inner reliance is key here, is key. And then the funnel of energy, right? It comes to all of these planets together in Aries. So we can build a community, right? We can build a community who are activating and initiating this energy into the new, right? Because it funnels into Aries. Aries is where we initiate, right? Aries is where we start to bring it into form, and then we move into Taurus, and it comes down and makes and is put into form in the earth. But Aries is the energy of the initiation. So you get your ideas now for how you want life to be. You get your maneuvering. You take your steps the best you can, knowing that in the future, right? That's when the building on the new is really going to be more active. I hope that this has been helpful for you. And let me just say that when the data stopped, the moon had moved to 22. So the intensity of the funnel had declined on the moon side. The moon had passed over its relationship with Babylon. So it's in a much wider, it's much farther away. But now is the moon at the data stop is in a less than 1 degree relationship with Jupiter. So that is big emotions, big spiritual challenges. But the rewards are great here. And it's interesting because I'm telling you a story that is challenging, but I have to tell you that I feel good in general. Why? How could that be? Ever since Pluto has moved out of Capricorn, life has felt so much better. And, when there's a major shift, there's going to be a change. Like if you move houses, you got to pack everything up. You got to unpack everything. You have to get rid of things. You have to buy new things. It's a hassle. It takes time. And so that's what we're doing right now. We're shifting into Pluto and Aquarius, but the energy is so much better. I can't even tell you, how much better I feel. Ever since literally the day Pluto moved into Aquarius, my heart feels so much more open, alive, excited, ready to live like what is going to, ready to live the newness that wants to take hold in our lives, right? That it's so beautiful what we will be able to create. And I have a read on it, and it's exciting. And I hope that you can keep that with you and don't be in fear, be in the anticipation. And the challenge here, I really feel, it's all spiritual right now. It's about learning that inner resilience, the reliance on the divine. That's what gets you through here. And it not only gets you through, when Uranus makes those sudden changes, he can elevate you. That energy can, I'm saying he, but this energy can elevate us in positive ways. Pluto is the energy of soul retrieval. This is how we heal. Okay, so astrologers don't usually talk about this because everybody's like, oh my gosh, everything's changing. But this is the blessing. This is where we're going. And I've got to tell you something. It has been so hard for me to create in the past few years, and yet create I have. Okay, I started this channel. I came into a relationship with all of you, and I've just kept going despite all these challenges. And let me just say that what I do, there's so much more that I want to do that it's been hard for me, like to build for me, okay, based upon other things in my life as well. And suddenly I feel that some kind of obstacle's been lifted, and all of this new energy is pouring through. It's pouring through me, but it's pouring through the environment. It's pouring through us. And it's like the divine offering saying, come play with me. Let's do this. Like, let's create some cool new stuff together, because Aquarius is about the group. It's about us together coming into better relationship, not divisive relationship. That is not Aquarius, right? This shit's got to go. That's totally the hit I just got. This shit's got to go. The divisiveness, the us versus them. Oh, aren't you done with it? I am. Blessings, friends, and thank you for being here with me today.